The girl just got up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom and was transported to the ruins of an interstellar battlefield. At this moment, a man covered in blood was staring at her dangerously. But instead of being afraid, the girl actively moved closer and provocatively teased him. All because this was a beastman world with far more males than females. And the girl was not only the only 3S level rare female, but also possessed super strong soothing abilities. The domineering and abstinent silver wolf general, the cheerful and promiscuous fox idol, the beautiful and pure blue-tailed merman, and even the 4 great interstellar clans, all wanted to possess the girl to obtain her soothing powers. Li Qiao, who should have been lying in bed binge-watching dramas and snacking on sunflower seeds, was thus pampered by the entire interstellar world into a sweetheart adored by all. Li Qiao got up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom. She opened her bedroom door, but unexpectedly appeared in front of a silver-haired, silver-eyed man, who was half sitting in front of the ruins of an interstellar battlefield. The man was severely injured. The first thing he said to her was, "Female. Disgusting, get lost." Li Qiao nervously swallowed. Under his dangerous gaze and deep warning voice, she subconsciously took half a step back. A sharp pain shot from the sole of her foot. She let out a suppressed cry of pain. A sharp piece of metal was stained with blood. Only then did Li Qiao realize that the surroundings were filled with wreckage from the battleships left behind by the war. "What are you standing there for? Get lost now." The voice filled with irritation, disgust, and rage startled Li Qiao with a jolt. Bai Lianhua warily stared at the female before him. She wore a pale purple dress adorned with lace. Her smooth, long hair reached her waist. It was an extremely rare shade of black. Lionel's Adam's apple subconsciously bobbed. The long silver segments of his hair naturally hung down, blocking his scrutinizing gaze. Her delicate collarbone, her curvaceous and full figure, then her softly shaped calves, and her pinkish-white, cute feet. "Hey, if you've got the guts, just kill me then." The female's taunting voice pulled Bai Lianhua back to reality from his momentary daze, and successfully angered him. He growled hoarsely in anger, "Damn it, a female who can come to this remote battlefield can only mean 2 possibilities. 1. She's one of those annoying females who fanatically pursue him using despicable means. 2. She's been utilized and awakened by the insectoids we failed to exterminate completely, trying to successfully bewitch him and then kill him. Even though the female before him was stunningly beautiful, even though he was momentarily captivated and felt a flicker of pity, but regardless of which possibility it was, he would not allow either to exist." After hearing the girl's words, Bai Lianhua didn't hesitate to pick up a sharp shard nearby and hurled it forward. That sharp fragment landed not far behind Li Qiao with a clanging sound. The man's arm before him gradually fell. With a thunderous crash, he collapsed onto the open ground. After a while, the man still hadn't gotten up. Li Qiao cautiously picked up a stone from the rubble. She threw it at the man's chest. But the man didn't react at all. "And I thought he was so tough. Turns out, he's just all show and no substance." With such a grim face. "Did he really think he could scare me?" She smugly patted the dust off her hands. After confirming he was truly unconscious, she finally let her guard down and slowly moved forward. Only when she got close did she see how severe his injuries were. His military green uniform was already in tatters. The wounds on his body were so deep the bone was visible. "Even injured this badly yourself, you still desperately tried to kill me. Such disgust toward women. Were you not born from a woman's womb?" Li Qiao muttered to herself, while bending down to pick up the golden badge on his chest that had long caught her eye. She gently wiped the mud off the badge with her thumb. Only then could she see the words hidden beneath. "That's probably this man's name. No, I should refer to him as a male instead." The moment she touched the badge, A transparent screen appeared in mid-air showing an ID photo. Bai Lianuo, General of the Blue Star Imperial Capital. That was his title. Below was a list of his military achievements. It seemed to scroll on endlessly. There was no other information about him. The badge suddenly started vibrating. A video call from someone named Ike popped up. Li Qiao tapped the answer button. General Lioner, I haven't been able to reach your starbrain. Luckily, there's the name tag. How are you? Are you injured? Where are you? We'll come support you immediately. Ike immediately launched into a rapid-fire barrage of questions. But when he got a clear look at the person on the other side, he was so shocked his jaw dropped and he froze in place. Oh, my God. How could there be such a beautiful woman in this world? Soft, long hair framed her cheeks perfectly. Her dark, starry eyes stared back at him innocently. She looked sweet and adorable. It was a direct hit to his heart. She must be a creation of the beast god. Li Qiao tapped the rotate button. She pointed the camera at the tall man lying on the ground, whose condition was unknown. Are you talking about him? The moment he saw the blood-covered man on the ground, Ike snapped back to reality instantly. He was so agitated he nearly jumped. That is General Lioner. Where are you? I'll send someone to rescue you right away. Li Qiao pointed the camera at a large cloud in the sky. We're under this big cotton candy cloud. Ike was speechless. Which star are you on? Which planet? Ike fell silent, watching the woman, who was now pouting. Deep in thought, all he could think was that she was truly stunning. But she's a bit silly. Even if her IQ isn't high enough, as long as she is physically healthy, she can still become a female who is highly prized by the beastmen and fervently adored. Forget it, just show me the surrounding environment. In the middle of filming, the video call was suddenly cut off. The transparent screen floating in mid-air also suddenly went black. Li Qiao shook the badge, but there was no response. It was probably out of power. So, maybe they should be getting rescued soon. She disappointedly returned to Bai Lianu's side. After taking off his upper garment, she tore it into several strips of cloth and wrapped them around his chest to bandage it. She even tied a bow for him. For now, this will stop the bleeding. It's only because I'm beautiful and kind-hearted that I'm not holding a grudge against you. Li Qiao originally didn't want to save him. After all, the first time they met, this man almost killed her. But the person on that call was clearly very concerned about his safety. If the man died, she, who appeared out of nowhere in this deserted ruins, and was completely out of place here, would be the most suspicious person. Although she comforted herself with these thoughts, the more she thought about it, the angrier she became. Why did he disgust her for no reason the first time they met? Why did he tell her to get lost for no reason? Why did he even try to kill her? Is it wrong to be a female now? The more she thought about it, the angrier she got. So she simply picked up the remaining scraps of cloth. She tied Lioner's wrists behind his back. She also securely bound his ankles. Li Qiao looked satisfied with her handiwork. As her gaze traveled upward, she met eyes brewing with a storm. Disgusting woman. Don't think that by forcing me, you can have everything of mine. Lioner warned menacingly. His words made Li Qiao's hair stand on end. She instinctively felt as if she had committed some monstrous crime. She had lived a clean, honest life and had never been falsely accused before. I don't crave your love. I only want your body. Since that's the case, then she would make this accusation a reality. By now, Lioner had sat up straight. Li Qiao gave a sweet smile, wrapped her arms around his neck, and sat down in his lap. She lifted her head and looked at him timidly. Don't you like me, Lioner? Lioner hadn't expected her to make such a bold move. His body froze instantly. How do you know my name? Who sent you? Currently, with his hands and feet tied, he was completely non-threatening. Li Qiao lazily took out that badge. and dangled it right before his handsome eyes. "Isn't it written right here?" His expression changed drastically. This badge represented the highest honor of his life. It could only be removed when he met his destined person and willingly presented to its owner. But he would rather let the badge be destroyed than offer it to any disgusting female. Seeing his intense reaction, this badge must be something extremely important. Li Qiao discreetly put it away, deliberately moved close to his ear. "Don't be angry, baby. It's fine if you don't like me. But I really like you." Her hand gently trailed from his burning ear tip, slowly traced down to his chin. "Take your dirty hand away. Don't touch me." Feeling the person beneath her trembling with rage, she inwardly sneered. Didn't he absolutely despise females? She was going to disgust him to death. Li Qiao curled a malicious smile, gently tapped Lioner's lips. Her tone sweet. "Don't you want to kiss me?" Lioner turned his head away in disgust, struggling to restrain his emotions. But no matter how much he endured, he couldn't ignore the weight on his body, or the soft female form, completely different from a male. His turning away allowed Li Qiao to clearly see his reddened ears. Her smile deepened. Did he really think he was hiding it well? Feeling shy because of a female he detested? How humiliating must that be for him? "It's okay, Lioner. If you don't want to kiss me, then I'll kiss you instead." If she kissed him, he would surely be utterly disgusted. The places on his own body that had been touched by the female, he not only detested her, but also detested himself because of the female. These words struck Lioner as if he'd been hit by a thunderbolt. He turned his head in shock, wanting to rebuke her. Unexpectedly, something soft pressed against his lips. Before his eyes, magnified, were the female's soft eyelashes, and an overwhelmingly magnified sweet fragrance. Lioner was stunned for a full 5 seconds, allowing her to run wild and do evil. Only when the female's small hand reached for a dangerous place did he snap out of it. "Chi, you bit me." Li Qiao reached out a finger and touched the painful spot on his lip. But he saw a touch of bright red stain his fingertip. He looked angrily at the perpetrator, only to see her lips stained with blood. In her eyes seemed to shimmer a light, a mix of coldness and bloodlust that was chilling. "Damn female. Just wait until my body recovers. You're dead." Li Qiao ignored his warning, and without hesitation, bit him back. Holding Lioner's neck, she bit down. Lioner refused to be outdone. He was severely injured, and could only retaliate in this way. Originally, his loss of control value had already reached 98%, teetering on the dangerous edge, ready to spiral out of control at any moment. But when he sucked the girl's blood, mixed with saliva, the restlessness she had stirred up earlier miraculously calmed down. The restless emotions that had been tormenting and troubling him just vanished like that. Lioner extended her tongue to taste the girl's blood. A dark undercurrent flashed in his eyes, as if he had realized something. Li Qiao quickly got up from him, took a few steps back. She gently covered the wound on her lip with the back of her hand. "Are you a dog or something? All you know how to do is bite." Meanwhile, Lioner acted as if nothing had happened. But no, the way Lioner was looking at her was as if he had discovered some kind of treasure. She hesitantly took a step forward, thinking she must have been seeing things. But then, she saw Lioner lower his gaze, his expression still as cold as ice. In the short while they had been kissing, night had already fallen. The temperature dropped sharply. Even a biting cold wind had begun to blow. Li Qiao shivered, shaking from the cold. She had originally decided never to provoke him again, doing something that hurts the enemy 1,000, but costs you 800. Disgusting others and disgusting yourself in the process. But it was just too cold. Lioner watched as the female slowly approached him. He recalled the saying that females are delicate. If you're not careful, they could lose their lives. Seeing the girl shift her feet, now purple from the cold, and slowly returned to his embrace. Lionel was like a furnace, radiating a steady, endless warmth. Before long, Liao had warmed up. She cautiously looked up, only to see Lionel staring coldly at her. But the disgust in his eyes was gone. He just kept looking at her like that. He neither scolded her nor told her to get out. It was as if he tacitly accepted this behavior. Soon, the person in his arms fell into a deep sleep. Lionel looked down at the woman sleeping defenselessly. A dangerous glint flashed in his eerie eyes. His wounds had healed. After a night had passed, when Li Qiao woke up, she saw a pair of powerful, long legs. She was somewhat confused. She remembered falling asleep on Lionel last night. How did she end up lying on the floor? Lionel. She tried to speak, but found her mouth gagged with a cloth strip. Even her upper body was tightly bound. Her sounds caught the attention of the man standing not far away. "You're awake," the man said. The chest she had once completely wrapped in fabric now had only a few strips remaining, revealing long dried bloodstains beneath the cloth. And flawless, uninjured skin. He strode toward her, looking down at her with a condescending gaze. "You want to ask how my wounds healed so suddenly?" Lionel asked the girl lying on the floor. How could he possibly know what she was thinking? Li Qiao was stunned. But she mechanically nodded anyway. He chuckled softly. "I am a male, naturally stronger than females, and possess powerful regenerative abilities that females lack. How could you not know this?" Lionel lifted her chin. His eyes narrowed. His gaze suddenly turned dangerous. "No woman doesn't know these. Where on earth did you come from?" Li Qiao was forced to meet the other's scrutinizing gaze. He pursed his lips uncomfortably. Lionel removed the cloth, gagging the female's mouth. "I came from your heart. Brother Lionel, don't you understand my feelings for you?" Lionel should have known this female was full of lies. He had thought of countless possible answers, but never expected her to say this. Without hesitation, he tied the cloth behind her head and sealed her mouth again, giving Lionel no chance to question further. A pure black combat starship hovered steadily above them. Inside stood a group of men. Some revealed beast-like ears. Some had tails hanging behind them. "General Lionel, we've finally found you." Ike saw Bai Lianwo covered in blood. He urgently ordered the people around him. "Medic! Get the medic, quickly!" Lionel ignored everyone's gazes. She strode on her long legs towards the interior of the starship. The hatch behind her slowly closed. Li Qiao was surrounded by a circle of males in front of her. Their stares made her scalp tingle. They looked at her with curious, burning eyes, like they had spotted prey. Such a beautiful female. Such a dangerous interstellar battlefield. How could someone abandon a female here? That male husband is so irresponsible. If this female would just look at me, my life would be complete. Li Qiao felt like her exposed calves were about to catch fire from their intense staring. She subconsciously pressed her legs together. This only provoked even more intense exclamations from the males, seeing how frantic Ike had looked moments before, shouting for a medic for their general. Li Qiao thought they were very concerned about Lionel. But not only did they not anxiously follow Lionel, they instead surrounded her Li Qiao, wanting to avenge her. Lionel, who had walked halfway, suddenly felt an unusual quietness behind her. She turned back to see the male beastmen formed a circle, completely blocking the female in the center from view. "Don't you all have your own duties?" A voice tinged with anger came through. The beastmen's alarm bells rang loudly. They scattered and fled. Lionel looked at the suddenly timid female. "Hurry up and follow." "Listen. They said you were severely injured and unconscious. How can you be standing here perfectly fine? Could it be that you leveled up again?" Two tall figures suddenly appeared before them. At this moment, the man on the left was wearing a doctor's white coat. His long, snow-white hair fell smoothly. The man on the right had short, slightly messy black hair. He wore a crisp military uniform. The moment their gazes fell upon the female beside him, it was as if they had both seen a great-grandmother rising from her coffin. Where did this disgusting female come from? Lionel, you're standing so close to her. Aren't you afraid of catching her stench? She glared at them with displeasure in her eyes, but was met with two even more dangerous stares. Her neck suddenly felt cold. She instinctively hid behind Lionel. Lionel thought to himself, stinky. When he got close, he actually smelled a very sweet scent. He had even tasted something sweeter than what he smelled. I found her on planet C. Found her? Li Qiao raised his eyes to look at Lionel, who told the lie without changing his expression. Obviously, she was the one who tied him up first. Then he tied her up. Abducted her. Are you crazy? Bringing back a female, and such a dirty one at that. In response to their accusations, Lionel remained expressionless. If you have something to discuss, come inside. I need to go clean up first. Make yourselves at home. The two men avoided her as if she were a minor annoyance. The female avoided her as if she were a plague. She swiftly entered the room. Each found a sofa farthest from her, and sat down. Li Qiao was furious. Lionel entered the bedroom, took a change of clothes, and walked toward the bathroom. Clearly, she had no intention of untying her. Hearing the muffled sobs, Lionel's hand paused on the bathroom door. Bro, could you please untie her? After saying that, he opened the door and entered the bathroom, as if afraid she might suddenly barge in. Soon, he came back again. Deftly, he locked the bathroom door. Bai Ji, whom his brother had called out, raised an eyebrow. He refused without hesitation. I don't want to touch a disgusting female. Bai Wenhun crossed his legs. He immediately chimed in, who would dare touch her? My hands are for conducting experiments, not for handling trash. Li Qiao was enraged. She began struggling with all her might. A cold laugh escaped Bai Ji's lips. Don't waste your energy. It's impossible for you to break free. Before he could finish, Li Qiao dashed out quickly. Just then, an angry shout came from the showering bathroom. Don't let her run around. Quick, catch her and bring her back. Lionel swept her hair back. She quickly turned off the water, then hurriedly threw on some clothes and rushed out after her. The starship contained various classified materials and dangerous machinery that must not be touched. This was no place for a female to run around recklessly. Li Qiao staggered forward, running unsteadily. Only when she saw the space outside the starship through the window did she gradually come to a stop. At this moment, the starship was flying close to a massive planet. In the vast darkness, the planet, emitting a faint fluorescent glow, appeared exceptionally mysterious. Earth is Earth, Li Qiao murmured indistinctly, her eyes unfocused as she stared at the enormous celestial body. Woman, what are you running for? Ike looked at the woman, whose eyes were frantically signaling to him. Summoned sharp claws, raised his hand, and severed the ropes restraining her. Finally, free. Li Qiao felt somewhat excited. Thank you, Ike. Ike scratched his head sheepishly. It was the first time he had ever been praised by a woman. But at this moment, Li Qiao's excitement over gaining freedom was far less intense than her reaction upon seeing a planet identical to Earth. Ike, what planet is this? Li Qiao pointed at the huge blue celestial body outside, asking anxiously. Ike followed the direction the woman was pointing. Dixon, a name completely different from Earth. Li Qiao felt somewhat disappointed. Are there any living creatures on this planet? No, apart from Blue Star, where we live. There is no life on any other celestial bodies within the star system. Seeing the woman suddenly fall silent, Ike finally mustered up his courage and asked the question he had long wanted to ask. Li Qiao, what is your StarNet ID? Can I have your contact information? The female contacted the male through his contact information. This shows the female has a favorable impression of the male. The male can then begin pursuing her. His eyes sparkled with excitement. His heartbeat quickened. He waited eagerly for the female's reply. Li Qiao looked conflicted. How should she tell Ike that she doesn't have a star brain? Grab her. Yinzi's voice interrupted their conversation. Yan Nuo kept his handsome face stern. His cold gaze swept over everyone and shot straight toward the little female standing by the window. I wasn't trying to run away. I just came out to find someone to help untie the rope. Neither of them was willing to help. Seeing that the little female hadn't tried to escape on purpose, and that she admitted her mistake sincerely, his anger instantly faded away. He knew the temperaments of Bai Ji and Wenhan. He shared their reasons for disliking females. He understood that this kind of feeling isn't easily changed. So after hearing the little female's accusations against them, he didn't say anything. He chose to ignore it. Wenhan watched as Lionel led the little female away. His gaze fell on their joined wrists. She really is cunning. Truly a despicable female. Bai Ji's dark eyes flickered. Once, a female hid under Lionel's bed without permission. But she was thrown out. Don't tell me Lionel has been bewitched by her. Lionel brought the young woman into the bathroom. He turned the shower head on and directed the water straight down onto her head. While rinsing her off, he coldly stated, "Wash off the filth." After saying this, he left the bathroom. The bathroom still carried the scent of Lionel's recent shower. No matter how she washed, Yixio felt extremely uncomfortable. The sound of running water stopped. A graceful figure emerged from the steamy bathroom. Looking around, throughout the entire bathroom, there was only a large men's bathrobe. Hearing the noise, the three men in the room simultaneously looked toward the bathroom. The oversized bathrobe worn by the young woman looked like a cute long dress on her. Her jade-like cheeks were dotted with water droplets. As she moved, it faintly revealed her lovely long legs inside. Bai Lianuo, seeing her like this, frowned, displeased. Why did you come out without wearing clothes? Underneath the bathrobe, she was completely bare. And he asked her this in front of so many people. Li Qiao was extremely embarrassed. She stood there awkwardly, not knowing what to do. My dress is wet. I don't have any other clothes. In Wenhan's golden eyes was filled with undisguised disgust. Dressed like that, who are you trying to seduce? What dress is wet? That's just your excuse. Li Qiao believed that this was her first time meeting this man. She hadn't done anything to make him despise her, nor had she even spoken a single word to him. Yet he not only found her dirty and smelly, he even called her trash. Now, they're spreading rumors that she's trying to seduce someone else. Li Qiao took a few steps forward. She looked him up and down. For a man like you, I can't even be bothered. It seems you're tired of living. Wenhan's eyes gleamed with overwhelming anger. He instantly grabbed Li Qiao by the neck and lifted her high. Who do you think you are? How dare you speak to me like that? The girl's rounded eyes gradually reddened. Her face turned purplish red, but her gaze remained fixed on him, without a trace of fear. Such a fragile woman, in her neck is so slender. With just a slight twist from him. Article 1 of the Female Protection Law. Those who intentionally harm a woman will have their entire clan executed. Lionel spoke up at the right moment, interrupting Wenhan's tightening grip on the woman's neck. Wenhan suppressed his anger, quietly warning the nearly suffocated young woman. If you dare provoke me again, I'll make you disappear without a trace. He flung her forcefully. Li Qiao was sent flying, finally able to breathe again. Li Qiao gasped for air in large breaths. Because it was too rapid, she started coughing violently, unable to catch her breath. A pair of large hands landed on her back, gently helping her steady her breathing. Li Qiao looked up, only to meet a pair of pitch-black eyes devoid of warmth. No wonder it didn't hurt when I fell on the ground. So it was because he threw her into the arms of another man who disliked her. Didn't he also dislike her? Why would he kindly pat her back? Before she had time to dwell on it for long, the man beneath her spoke up. Wenhan, next time, Look carefully before you throw things. Don't just throw anything at me. Wenhan had already left. No one answered Bai Ji at all. Bai Lianuo braced his arms on the desk, almost unable to stay seated. His gaze kept shifting back and forth between the two of them. A vague, nameless emotion stirred within him. This posture reminded him of the little female actively sitting on him and kissing him. Ruining him alone was enough. Bai Ji and the others hadn't been tainted by a female yet. He was willing to sacrifice himself to protect them. Lianwo grabbed the female's wrist and lifted her up effortlessly. His gaze shifted to Bai Ji, who quickly crossed his long legs. Wenhan went a bit too far. If he still can't distinguish what's important, he'll be kicked out of the family. He might want to die, but others still want to live. Killing a female is no small matter. I will warn third brother. Bai Ji curled his hands, as if sensing the lingering warmth. Ever since that glance, the image of that female kept surfacing in his mind. Her deep, pool-like eyes, soft cherry lips, and the delicate pink tip of her tongue slightly protruding when she gasped for breath. Bai Ji even shamefully had a physical reaction to her. He sat on the sofa as if sitting on pins and needles, afraid that Lioner, who also despised females like him, would notice his abnormality. After Lioner took the little female away, he irritably ruffled his disheveled hair, dismissed the 99 loss of controlling from his star brain, took out an inhibitor that Wenhan had already prepared for him, and injected it into the side of his neck. His agitated mood gradually calmed. The inhibitor was equivalent to a painkiller, only effective temporarily. If he lost control again, the loss of control could reach 100% at any time. He would also face the risk of death at any moment. Inside the restroom, Li Qiao sat quietly on the bed. Her lowered eyelashes half concealed her slightly reddened eyes. On her fair neck, the purplish-red handprint was particularly glaring. The first time they met, the little female had forcefully kissed him and taken his first kiss. Logically speaking, he should be happy to see her get the punishment she deserved. But seeing her being lifted by Wenhan, and now, in such a fragile state, he couldn't control his gaze, unconsciously wanting to care for her. Li Qiao sensed the male approaching. He was bending down, using his fingertips to apply ointment to her little by little. That person is your brother. She had heard him call one of them brother before, but wasn't sure if it was the same half-brother. You really are just as detestable. Li Qiao glared at him angrily. She pushed his hand away. Aren't you disgusted by females? Then why are you applying medicine for me? Hearing this, Lioner was somewhat displeased. He subconsciously increased the pressure in his hand. Are you going to choke me to death like he did? Her neck felt as if it had been snapped in half. She didn't need to look in a mirror. She already knew how severe her injuries were. Perhaps it was too painful. Li Qiao uncontrollably shed tears. Glistening droplets fell onto the back of the hand that was applying medicine for Li Qiao. The little female's face was full of pain. The sudden situation left Lioner flustered, yet he could only awkwardly say, I'm not as cold-blooded as him. This was the first time Bai Lianuo had seen a female cry. In the past, he would have scolded her until she didn't dare appear before him again. But this time, seeing the little female cry, he only wanted her to stop crying. He didn't want to see her cry. He raised his hand and wiped away a glistening tear that had rolled down her chin. Li Qiao was utterly confused. Someone who disliked her was intimately wiping her tears. The starship was full of males. There were simply no daily necessities for females. Most males were tall and burly. Bai Lianuo picked out a white shirt, along with a maroon narrow belt, and placed them in front of Li Qiao. Your clothes, there are no shoes here in your size. We'll find you shoes when we return to Langson. Zhong Nan's shirt is very large. Yi Zhao put it on, and it looked like she was wearing a waist-fitting dress. It's just that the bottom felt empty. She felt a bit insecure. Lionel strode over and picked up the female with one arm. This action drew a gasp from nearby, but it quickly quieted down. The suddenly close distance, and the firm arm steadily resting on her thigh. Li Qiao clearly heard her own little heart nervously pounding with fear. The sound of violent beating. The man holding her deliberately explained to her, "You aren't wearing shoes. I'll carry you over." The unfamiliar male scent invaded her senses. Yi Zhao feared something unfortunate might happen to her little life, so she had no choice but to endure it for now. "Aren't you disgusted by females?" Facing her question, Bai Lianuo coldly spat out 2 words, disgusted. But he showed no intention of putting her down. Instead, he held her a little tighter. Imperial Capital Center. Inside a futuristic skyscraper. Commander Bai Ji Lionel. "Admiral, the king requests your presence. Please follow me," a servant in a suit said to them respectfully. Lionel was somewhat reluctant to put down the delicate, soft little female in his arms. "The floor is so cold. Her bare feet will freeze and harm her body." A handsome, slender person in blue work clothes suddenly appeared. "Leave it to me. Admiral, we will take good care of the female." Blue work clothes. This serves as the symbol of the Female Alliance. The Female Alliance capital specifically established the Female Alliance Guard Team to protect females, to safeguard the rights and interests of females. As they spoke, the main force of the Female Alliance arrived where he was. Leading them was a tall, thin man with smoke-colored hair and brown eyes. He wore a faint smile. "I am the person in charge of the Female Alliance, Haikuan-si. Please allow us to take good care of you." Haikuan-si looked at the well-behaved little female. He marveled in his heart. She is truly beautiful. But even so, Lionel remained unmoved. Instead, she tightened her arms a little more. Immediately, the Porcelain Alliance personnel quickly arrived with the small leather shoes. "Honorable female, please raise your noble left foot." Li Qiao's face quickly turned red with embarrassment. She hurriedly reached out to stop them. "There's no need to trouble you. I can do it myself." The rejected Porcelain Alliance staff's eyes instantly grew somber. Haikuan-si thought the female looked down on him, so he personally knelt on one knee. A noble female. How could she put on her own shoes? He held the female's beautiful ankle and gallantly put the shoes on for her. Li Qiao was shocked by this action from the Porcelain Alliance, gazed up at by his devout brown eyes. She was even left speechless. The attendant in a suit urged Admiral Lionel again. "Commander Bai Ji, the king is waiting." Wenhen looked at the little female. Before Lionel left, he displeasedly glanced a few more times at Haikuan-si. "Noble female, please come with us." Li Qiao was guided to sit on the sofa. "I introduced myself earlier as Haikuan-si. You must already know." Li Qiao nodded, politely shook the outstretched hand he offered. Haikuan-si withdrew his smile. "Allow me to introduce myself in more detail. I am the head of the Female Association, in charge of all the data on the Empire's females, and I am thoroughly familiar with their names, appearances, as well as all kinds of information. But I have never seen Miss Li Qiao before." As his words fell, even Wenhen standing by the door cast a scrutinizing gaze in this direction. Li Qiao took the coffee brought by the robot, uneasily took a sip. Haikuan-si curled the corner of his mouth, quietly watched the nervous young female. "Where did you actually come from? And how did you appear on the battlefield between the Empire and the insectoids? And were brought back safely by the general?" Li Qiao's lips quivered, nervously fidgeted with her hands. "I've forgotten. When I woke up, I was already on the battlefield. Where is your star brain? And who is your beast husband?" When Bai Lianuo and Bai Ji arrived, this was the questioning they heard. Instantly, all eyes gathered on the young female. "I don't have a star brain. About the past, I don't remember anything. There's no record of you in the Empire." Could you be from the insectoids? Sorry, I really can't remember. Li Qiao firmly insisted on this answer. It's much better than fabricating unnecessary lies. She doesn't remember what happened before. She has never lived in the empire. Bai Lianuo seemed to have grasped some crucial information. She is not at all one of those females in the empire who admire him, or even go to any lengths to get him. The female didn't even know him before. How could she possibly like this liar? In an instant, Bai Lianu's face turned as black as a pot. Bai Wenhen sneered. Doesn't remember anything at all. Just happens to have forgotten everything, yet still remembers her own name. Females are delicate. It's possible that some accident suddenly caused amnesia. Moreover, females are scarce in the empire. Even if Miss Li Qiao has no background, the empire can create a file for her on the starship and let her live safely in the imperial capital. Protect her safety. Wenhen snorted coldly. What if she is an insectoid? Haikuan Si replied. You can take the female for a physical examination. Results will be known soon. Besides, Miss Li Qiao is well behaved and cute. She clearly doesn't look like an ugly insectoid either. Li Qiao looked up at Haikuan Si, who had previously interrogated her sternly, but was now suddenly defending her. The males in this world are so strange. They all have two faces. To the council hall. The king has an announcement to make, Lionel said coldly. After speaking, he turned and walked out. First, Li Qiao stood up, following behind them. The king of this world. What if by some fluke there's a clue about the Coloridge Glaze artifact? Li Qiao was bound to assist him as soon as she entered the beast world. Only by obtaining the colored glaze artifact can she return to reality. Inside the world hall, sitting in the first seat was an elderly man with a weathered face and graying hair. When he saw her, his murky eyes lit up a bit. So you are the female that Lionel brought back. Li Qiao was brought to the center of the hall by Bai Ji. Under the gaze of many, he steeled himself and nodded. Where is your star brain? Wenhen sat on Bai Lianu's left side. He looked at Lionel's empty wrist and asked instinctively. Soon, a sharp-eyed male noticed this point. The female doesn't have one either. Bai Lianuo rose from his seat, bowed respectfully to the king at the head, and said, I accidentally lost it during the war, subordinate, and haven't had a chance to replace it yet. Then attendants brought forth 2 star brains, presenting them to Li Qiao and Bai Lianuo. The moment Bai Lianuo put on the star brain, an electronic announcement shook the entire council hall. Detected male out of control value change, 0%. Everyone turned their eyes towards the female standing next to Bai Lianuo. Their gazes shifting between the two of them. Wenhen and Bai Ji stood up in shock. Lionel actually did the most primal thing with this female. At this moment, a man with red hair and pink eyes suddenly asked, Bai Lianuo, General, where is your star badge? And the guarding king clearly cared deeply about Lionel's star badge. He heavily tapped his cane on the ground. A male soldier who can't even protect his own badge. What right does he have to partner with a female? Lionel subconsciously reached for his chest. But now, that spot on his chest was empty. He curled his fingers. His arm gradually lowered. Lingren Weisheng's lips curled into a pleased smile. Now that Bai Lianuo has lost his badge, Wang Dinghui is taking his anger out on the Bai family. Soon, the little female will belong to their Weisheng family. The badge is with me. Li Qiao opened her palm. The golden badge was clearly visible in her hand. Bai Ji and Wenhen were clearly unable to stand firm. Both were tense. Not only did Lionel betray them first, he also deliberately hid this matter. Bai Lianuo, you gave the badge to the female. Why didn't you say anything? Facing the king's questioning, Lionel opened his mouth. His expression was complex and hard to read. This is all a misunderstanding. Losing control was just, and so was the badge. Li Qiao was somewhat confused by all this. But she still explained, he didn't give it to me. It was when we were isolated and without support on the battlefield. I used his badge to contact the outside world. The guard, Wang Baishu, interrupted. Memories intertwine. That female, Li Qiao, shall be assigned to the Bai family first. At that moment, a strange dialogue box appeared in front of Li Qiao. Chapter 1. The Bai family. After 5 seconds, the dialogue box vanished like mist. It even came with the game sound effect. Just as she was somewhat puzzled by the system prompt, she happened to see the seat below, with a placard that read, Bai family. And sitting in the Bai family seat were the two dreaded black and white impermanents, who hate women, and had nearly strangled her to death. Connecting this with the name of the man now standing beside her, Bai Lianuo. The good news is, there's a clue. Prompt. The bad news is, to steal the colored glaze, she must get close to Bai Lianuo, who dislikes women. Li Qiao closed her eyes, feeling utterly resigned. To survive, one must endure and lie low. After the king and the crowd left, Li Qiao looked at Lianuo, who seemed somewhat unwell. Returning your thing. But the man did not take the star badge. She handed over. It's useless to me now. If you don't want it, just sell it for money. After all, it's a heavy, large piece of gold. Bai Ji walked up to Bai Lianuo. Planning to explain to us? Wenhen stood to the side, also waiting for Lianu's reply. Bai Lianuo said in a deep voice, this is all a misunderstanding. We didn't rob anything. Not far away, Lingren Weisheng clearly heard the statement. He immediately rushed over. If you didn't rob anything, why didn't you say so earlier? Bai Lianuo raised an eyebrow, a subtle shift in his gaze. Don't think I don't know what you were implying by pointing out the badge. Lingren Weisheng was so angry, he gritted his back teeth hard. Wenhen, thinking the situation wasn't chaotic enough, deliberately passed by the Lingren and said, as he left, a redhead. And you still want to compete with us for the female? Is your brain even working properly? Lingren Weisheng had reached his limit. Bai Wenhen, you with your white hair. Do you think you're so noble? A stinky snake. The one who was insulted left, surrounding the female. No one was willing to pay him any attention. There were only 4 people in their Weisheng family. Against the 6 from Bai, their chances of winning were somewhat slim. But if they joined forces with the Helia family, their chances would be solid. At that moment, Helianus was elegantly grooming his fur. Lingren Weisheng placed his hands on the table in front of Helianus. Interested in cooperating? Let's snatch the little female together. Helianus continued to elegantly adjust his attire. Only after a long while did he finally grant the brash, rude redhead a brief glance. Boring. Lingren Weisheng was utterly furious. Helia Hugis condescended attitude. It's just a damn cat. I really want to step on and shatter his stupid glasses. Since their Helia family isn't interested, then their Weisheng family will go and seize it themselves. Li Qiao was sadly pulled along by Bai Ji. Just as they were about to leave the building, they were suddenly stopped by Haikuan Si, who had brought a group of people. Miss Li Qiao has not yet had her physical examination. Please stay a little longer. Center, 2nd floor. A machine scanned Li Qiao's entire body. Blood test, normal. Physical condition, normal. Rhythm, normal. No recombinant genes. The system judges the subject to be a precious child. When they heard the test results, a certain look appeared in the eyes of both Bai Ji and Haikuan Si. Their eyes both flashed with a light. Female women are divided into 3 types. Defective female women, normal female women, precious female women, and Li Qiao is the empire's first precious female woman. Haikuan Si shifted his gaze towards Bai Ji. Female women are delicate. You must take good care of them, especially the precious female women. Thank you for the reminder. We will. Bai Ji walked over, his tall frame blocking Li Qiao, pulling her into his embrace. I don't want to touch disgusting female women. In Li Qiao's mind, she involuntarily recalled Bai Ji's cold eyes and the words he had said to her. She instantly bent down and escaped his embrace. Her movements were as fluid as performing a Tai Chi routine. Bai Ji watched her actions, his brow furrowed. But he did not step forward again. Regarding Bai Ji's actions, Haikuan Si's brow unconsciously knitted together. He looked at the young female woman, his eyes holding extreme seriousness. If you ever encounter any difficulties, Miss Li Qiao, you can always come to me. Do you hate female women? Haikuan Si was somewhat unclear why she would ask this. No, I don't. That's good then. Thank you, I will. Li Qiao smiled sweetly, waving goodbye to Haikuan Si. But inside, her heart had already turned into a sorrowful ocean. She really wanted to report someone for pinching her, but to obtain the colored glaze. For now, we can only avoid alerting the enemy. Bai Lianuo sat inside the circular spaceship. He reached out his hand towards the little female standing on the gangway. Li Qiao didn't dare to place her hand into Lioner's outstretched one. But Lioner grabbed her wrist and pulled her inside. Her head bumped solidly against the male's powerful chest. Her body was forced against his, held in his embrace. The man was gently sniffing at something near the side of her neck. Bai Lianuo didn't understand what was happening, even though his loss of control value had now reached 0%. The restlessness in his body still felt like it was at 98%, or even more. Li Qiao shuddered, startled by the tickling sensation on her neck. Is he crazy? Let me tell you. Don't act like a hooligan. Bai Ji and Bai Wenhan watched Lioner's actions. They were completely stunned. They could hardly imagine Lioner, who detested females, doing such things to a female. Bai Ji grabbed the little female's wrist and pulled her out of Lioner's embrace, taking her for himself. So this is what it feels like to hold a little female. Li Qiao's voice was timid, afraid that saying anything might provoke his beastly nature. Bai Ji suddenly bared his sharp teeth. Lioner, didn't you say that a female's blood can cure a male's loss of control? Then I'll test it right now. The female was being held by her own brother. A faint trace of anger surfaced on Lioner's cold, stern face. Complex emotions churned inside him. That is the extreme in his heart acting up. He turned his head away, hiding his own filthy emotions, unwilling to watch the two people in their ambiguous posture any longer. Soon, Bai Ji's loss of control value dropped to 0%. Yikio only felt a daze before her eyes. She didn't even have time to see the interior structure of the spaceship clearly. Before she was plunged into darkness, Bai Ji glanced at the unconscious female. Lioner, how did you discover that the female's blood could dispel the loss of control? 3 minutes later, after hearing the whole story from Lioner, Wenhan cursed. She doesn't even know where her own home is. And you believe she came here to become your CI master? Did the Zerg eat your brain on the battlefield? Bai Ji was shocked. You kissed? What kind of messy focus is that? I think your brother's brain got eaten too. As soon as Wenhan finished saying this, the spaceship just arrived at the ancient castle. Bai Zhaoxing, who was originally sitting in the living room, saw the newcomers. He quickly went up to greet them. His light blue long hair cascaded over him. Extremely adorable. Who is she? The female? The little female leaned against the man's chest with her eyes closed. She's so cute. But why is she covered in blood? Lioner carried the female upstairs and placed her in the already prepared bedroom. Zhaoxing, she is the very dangerous species I told you about. You need to stay away. Wenhan blocked Zhaoxing, trying to lead him away. He's even cuter than me. How could that be dangerous? Zhongsheng glared at him, somewhat displeased. He wanted to follow Lioner into the bedroom. Wenhan warned again. Do not get close to her. or you will become unfortunate. She will deceive your heart, then abandon you. In the end, you'll lose your wit and fall to the underground dark city, living a life worse than an animal's. Zhongsheng's bright eyes instantly narrowed dangerously. Even the attractive area behind his ears began to show blue scales. Seeing that his younger brother no longer wanted to enter the female's bedroom, Wenhen rubbed his head. Zhongsheng's little head drooped instantly. He hated being treated like a child by his older brother. Late at night, two furry heads popped up beside Li Qiao's bed. They looked so biteable. That's what Zhongsheng thought. And so he did it. Just as his fangs were about to touch the skin, Zhongsheng suddenly stopped, seeming somewhat troubled. The little female is so beautiful. If I bite her cheek, she might become less pretty. His gaze wandered around. He held the female's fair, jade-like hands. Zhaoxing could no longer resist and bit down. His long legs also uncontrollably transformed into a blue fishtail. Under the moonlight, it shimmered with a faint fluorescence. The sound of fangs piercing skin was especially clear in the dark bedroom. Right after the sound was heard, beside them, the one who had been holding a plush toy and quietly watching Zhaoxing, Bai Zi, suddenly started crying. His grayish-purple, wolf-cut hair drooped over his shoulders, trembling with each sob. Frightened, Zhaoxing quickly retracted his fangs. Li Qiao woke up at this moment. She opened her weak eyes and heard an eerie, low weeping. Zhaoxing instantly retracted his fishtail, transforming it into human legs. "Sister, you're awake." What met her eyes was a pair of clear blue ones. Following beside him was a sickly-looking young man with a wolf-cut hairstyle, fluffy and curled. Seeing her awake, the wolf-cut young man finally stopped crying. "It's so great that she's okay." Li Qiao shifted her gaze to the man in front of her. "Who are you?" "I am Bai Zhaoxing, one of your future husbands. This is the bedroom we prepared for you. You will live here from now on." "Sister, you fainted as soon as you arrived. What happened?" Li Qiao looked up at him. Although the young man was very tall, his figure was slender. He seemed to look kind, unlike those three lunatics. But the one next to him was still undecided. She shifted her gaze to the boy kneeling beside Zhaoxing. This young man had been staring at her with a sickly intensity. He was 1.9 meters tall, holding a small panda. It looked utterly bizarre no matter how you saw it. "His name is Bai Zeng. He usually cries at the drop of a hat. He carries his doll around all day. He either spaces out or stays home without going out." As he spoke, Bai Zeng started crying again. While his tears fell like little pearls, he retorted, "It's not a doll, it's Lime. It has a name. It's called Lime." Zhaoxing felt somewhat irritated by his crying. He regretted inviting Zi out tonight. "Don't be afraid, sister. This is just how he is. You'll get used to it after hearing it more. Don't cry, Lime. I remember its name now. It's a lovely name, and your plush toy is very cute." Li Qiao repeated the doll's name. She raised her hand and gently rubbed Bai Zeng's head. Really?" Bai Zeng's eyes suddenly widened. He stared unblinkingly at the young female before him, as if wanting to sear her appearance into his heart. Watching their intimate interaction, Zhaoxing felt a pang of bitterness in his heart. He's the youngest among us. Even though he's only 1 month younger than me, even I have to give in to him. Zhaoxing's voice successfully caught the young female's attention. "My brother said he suffered a trauma when he was little, so he ended up like this." Mentioning his brother, Zhaoxing's previously somewhat downcast mood instantly brightened. He beamed with a smile. "My brother is named Bai Wenhen, and he's a physician. He's really amazing. You must already know these two. A younger brother of Bai Wenhen, a younger brother of Bai Lianuo, and Bai Ji. These three Pia players so cold-blooded. My younger brother is actually so pure and kind-hearted, like a child who knows nothing about the world." When did you do it without my consent? You just took the liberty of bringing the little girl home." Suddenly, intermittent sounds came from the living room. Li Qiao threw off the covers and walked toward the door. Zhongsheng looked anxious. He quickly stood up to stop her. "Sis, don't go over. We'll be discovered." She didn't want to eavesdrop either. But the main subject of their conversation was her. Li Qiao patted Zhongsheng's hand, gripping her arm. "Don't worry, I won't go out." She still needed to gather evidence to report it to the Women's Federation. Just then, noise came from outside the door again. "This is, or Zhao Ci, whether you're here or not is none of your business," was Wenhan's distinctive voice. She crouched by the door, quietly opened the door a crack to peek outside. Downstairs in the living room, 3 burly male beastmen were each sitting on different sofas, all looking at one who had just returned from outside. A half-beastman with pink ears, wearing training clothes. Bai Yo narrowed his eyes slightly. "None of my business. Then why did you message me to come back?" "I didn't come back specifically to listen to your complaints." Seeing Wenhan about to say something more to Yu Qi, as the eldest brother, Bai Ji was the first to step forward and interrupt Wenhan. "Don't be so aggressive. Yu Qi is our brother too. Forget it, he never comes home all year. To us, he's practically a stranger." Wenhan snorted coldly. Snakes and foxes never see eye to eye from the start. Wenhan and Yu Qi were no exception. "In my eyes, you're not even as good as a stranger." Yu Qi smiled with a look of complete indifference. This completely enraged Wenhan. He hated it most when Yu Qi showed his frivolous attitude. Could smell that fox scent from miles away. He instantly flashed in front of Yu Qi and grabbed his collar. Pale white snake scales emerged on his cold white skin. "You looking for a fight?" Zhaoxing's head was positioned above the little female. His brother was about to fight with brother Yu Qi. But what attracted him more was the little female beneath him. Now, a subtle fragrance invaded his senses. Sweet, but not cloying. It's still so addictive. He couldn't help but crouch down, slowly embracing the young female from behind. He could feel that he wanted to mate. He tried his best to control himself from transforming into a fishtail. Females don't like mermen. They hate seeing the tails of the merman race the most. He couldn't let the young female dislike him. Before she realized it, Li Qiao's slender waist was tightly held. A scorching body suddenly pressed close behind her. It scared her so much that her heartbeat skipped a rhythm. She struggled hard and turned her head to look, only to see the young man behind her, his forehead covered with a layer of fine sweat. He was painfully enduring something. "Can you hold me, Sister Zhaoxing? You can't do this." Li Qiao was so anxious she was almost crying. Her voice also carried a slight tremble. Behind them, holding a doll, motionless, just silently watching the chaotic scene before them, suddenly started crying loudly. The loud crying successfully caught the attention of the people downstairs. "Who is behind that intricately embroidered door?" Zhaoxing knelt on the ground, holding the young female in his arms tightly, his arms still firmly wrapped around her waist. After seeing them arrive, not only did he not let go, but instead held her even tighter, looking at them with a vigilant expression. Their posture was ambiguous. The male's blue long hair, intertwined with the female's flowing black locks. This scene before him deeply stung Wenhan's eyes. "Dongsheng, what are you doing?" As he spoke, he stepped forward to separate the two of them. Li Qiao was flung aside and fell into another warm embrace. Before her eyes was a dark blue training uniform. The man's flirtatious smile. "So you're the female assigned to us. Judging by your looks, you are indeed worthy enough for us." He leaned down and sniffed. "And quite fragrant too." His warm breath made Li Qiao's scalp tingle with itchiness. "Let me go." Lionel had been watching Yu Qi's movements the whole time, holding back the urge to speak with every restrained step. "Yu Qi, don't hurt the little female. She is useful to us." Yu Qi gently raised his hand. and brushed the female's hair behind her ear, completely ignoring the little female's trembling appearance. Under his touch, the female's beautiful little face took on a faint pink hue. Utterly adorable. Yuchi suddenly found it somewhat amusing. He wasn't softening his actions for Lionel's sake. He was doing it to provoke Wenhan. Seeing how much he despised this female, he was determined to oppose him. At the same time, Zhaoxing, who was watching the little female who originally belonged to him fall into the embrace of another male, completely broke down emotionally. What gives you the right to snatch the little female from me? The little female belongs to everyone. I want to form a bond with the female now. Zhaoxing's shouts. It reached the ears of everyone present. Everyone felt a shock in their hearts upon hearing this. Li Qiao had always thought the two of them were just innocent kids. Now, it seemed their whole family was twisted. Wenhan's eyes turned red with anger. He simply couldn't imagine it. How could his usually well-behaved younger brother say such things? You've really lost your mind. Do you know the consequences of getting married? Zhaoxing shouted. I know, and I'm willing. You're too young. Zhaoxing. Wenhan's golden eyes were filled with a pleading expression. I'm not young, Zhaoxing retorted, trying to prove himself to everyone, his already crimson eyes revealing his current emotions. The moment he saw it, Li Qiao quickly averted his gaze, his ears burning so hot it almost hurt. Is that right or not? Is this even okay to watch? The other males seemed completely unaware, not shifting their gaze in the slightest. Only Bei Zheng blocked his doll from view, his pale face contorted as he pulled its limbs, silently performing bizarre movements. Wenhan's younger brother was in front of the female, showing off his male strength without any restraint. Yuchi naturally wouldn't let slip this chance to mock. He clicked his tongue. Such suffocating chest obstruction. Zhaoxing is so pitiful. Wenhan took a deep breath, struggling hard to calm the anger in his heart. To form a partnership with the female is absolutely impossible, no matter what. Hearing these words, Zhaoxing's pale blue eyes were filled with disbelief. When the little female was unconscious, they all sat by her bedside, watching over her, and even personally changed her clothes. They could all have her. Why is it that only he cannot? Zhaoxing's chest heaved violently. An intense pressure made it hard for him to breathe. Suddenly, his body fell straight backward. In an instant, immense panic overwhelmed Wenhan. He caught Zhaoxing extremely quickly, but the person in his arms had eyes tightly shut. Not a trace of color on his face. He was terrified. Wake up, Zhaoxing. Don't scare your brother like this. Quick, get the water ready. Zhaoxing needs water. Wenhan looked frantic, hurriedly entered the bathroom. Before Wenhan could finish speaking, Bei Ji had already started filling the bathtub. He fainted. Aren't you going to check on him? Li Qiao looked at the person still restraining her. I'm more concerned about you. Little cutie. The seductive voice made Li Qiao's heart tremble with fear. It seems he's gotten into trouble. Wenhan's younger brother wants to form a partnership with her, and even fainted from anger. At this moment, Bei Yo looked at the young female in his arms. How precious Wenhan is. You just saw his younger brother. Now, because of you, his younger brother has fallen into a coma. Your days ahead will be miserable. Saying this, he grabbed her wrist and tried to take her downstairs. Li Qiao held onto the handrail, unwilling to go with him. Although I am partly to blame, the one who caused Zhongsheng to faint was his older brother, Wenhan. Yu Qi looked at her slyly. A hint of amusement flickered in his pink eyes. You're not completely foolish. If you beg me now, I might consider looking out for you in the future. He bent down and leaned closer to the young female. After all, Wenhan and I are rivals. No one wishes for his misery more than I do. I don't need it. Li Qiao swallowed. She wanted to say more, but suddenly felt dizzy. In her vision, violet eyes kept flashing, multiplying into pairs 2, then 3. Li Qiao's tightly furrowed willow leaf eyebrows gradually relaxed. Her bright eyes were also veiled by a faint haze. Yu Qi's smile grew increasingly earnest at the corner of his mouth. Follow me without the slightest hesitation. Li Qiao obediently nodded. Lionel had just returned and saw Bai Yo using his charm to seduce the young female. One hand intimately caressed the young female's cheek. His smile was wanton, while the young female's gaze was dazed. Clearly already bewitched, Lionel silently emerged from the dim corridor. Don't touch her. Yu Qi stopped his actions, watching Lionel slowly approach. Teasingly asked, "What's wrong?" "My dear second brother." Lionel stood firmly by the young female's side, speaking word by word to the ever-wanton fourth brother. Female Protection Act, Article 33. Prohibits foxbeasts from using seductive arts to bewitch females. As for every single moment, do you remember everything about the Empire? Besides, I haven't even used my charm yet. I just made her a little more obedient. After Yu Qi finished speaking, he poked the female's forehead with his fingertip. This action of his gave Lionel a strange feeling in her heart. Don't do such risky things. Yu Qi withdrew his hand, crossing his arms in front of his chest. I get it now. You called me back just to lecture me. Of course not. We discovered that the female's blood can eliminate the male's loss of control value. The moment he heard this news, Yu Qi's first reaction was disbelief. There are so many males with owners. How come I've never heard that blood can eliminate the loss of control value? Lionel's silver eyes slightly resembled a Li Qiao standing straight in place. Only his blood can do it. Don't joke around. Blood elimination? Then, since ancient times, the bonding of males and females through mating. Was it all for nothing? Male loss of control value 0%. The moment he heard the star brain broadcast, a gloomy smile froze at the corner of his mouth. The loss of control value displayed on Lionel's star brain was indeed 0. I remember your loss of control value was almost reaching 90%. With the female's blood, not only do we not need to bond, facing the risk of becoming a stray beast at any time. More importantly, we can completely get rid of the loss of control. Then Yu Qi snapped his fingers. Li Qiao closed her eyes and collapsed into his arms. You're so concerned about the little female. Don't tell me you've already fallen for her. Hearing this question, Lionel's back stiffened for a moment. Would you develop feelings for someone you've only met a few times and spent less than 12 hours with? If so, your love must be pretty cheap. The female is only useful to us. If she had no value, I wouldn't need to care this much. Lionel made it all sound so reasonable. Yoi almost believed it. He had never seen Lionel defend himself with such a long explanation over a random question. You should know. In the past, when Lionel faced misunderstandings or false accusations, he always responded with indifference. Are you really not attracted to the female? Just then, Wenhan rushed over anxiously, staring intently at the sleeping little female. Give her to me. Yu Qi refused. He directly carried the little female into the bedroom. Wenhan suddenly ran toward the bathroom where Zhaoxing was. Noticing his movement, Yu Qi glanced sideways. In the ridiculously large bathtub, a blue-tailed mermaid lay quietly by the edge. Zhaoxing, the female has fallen asleep. Hearing these words, Zhaoxing, who had his back to Wenhan, gently closed his wounded eyes. The little female doesn't like me. This was the conclusion Zhaoxing reached after displaying his male characteristics in front of her. Perhaps she just doesn't want to see you. Wenhan lied. After all, he never actually wanted the female to come. The female was unconscious. This actually suited his wishes. Be good and listen to your brother. Let's drink the reagent, okay? This was an RNA reagent he developed himself. It could constantly protect the mermaid's heart and meridians, so she wouldn't die from leaving the sea. Zhongsheng still didn't move. He could only open the reagent and pour it into the water, till Zhaoxing's dull fish scales returned to their former brightness. Only then did Wenhen feel relieved and leave. After Wenhen left, a shining pearl silently sank into the water, gradually settling at the bottom of the pool. He was disliked. At that moment, in another bedroom, Yu Qi used his canine teeth to bite the female's wrist again. Detected that the loss of control value had changed to 0%. Hearing the broadcast from his star brain, Yu Qi couldn't hold back a few loud laughs. He stood up and patted Lioner's shoulder. "Thanks, bro. I'm heading out first. Contact me anytime if you need anything." Right after Yu Qi left, Bai Ji suddenly lost control. He felt an urge to bite the female's wrist. "Lioner, the female's blood is not right." He clearly felt the restlessness inside his body. His mind was filled with a craving for fresh blood. The two brothers left full of doubts. The moment the door closed, the girl lying unconscious on the bed, Shudi, opened her eyes. In fact, Yu Qi's control technique only worked on her briefly for a short while. She heard the entire conversation between Lioner and Yu Qi. Only her blood can eliminate the out-of-control value. All the unsolvable mysteries now have answers. She looked at her bitten wrist. The two blood holes were healing at an eerie speed. Li Qiao rushed quickly to the mirror. Looking at the place where she was bitten before, there was no trace of a wound. Not even a scar remained. Could it be because she entered the game instance, given as a game character? Something like a special ability. Li Qiao took the sharp fragment, aimed it at the location of the previous blood hole from the bite, and slid it down. Intense pain surged like a tide, making her whole body tremble involuntarily. Although the room had good sound insulation, Zhaoxing, lying in the adjacent bath, still clearly heard the sound. He swung his legs out, rushed recklessly into the little female's bedroom. The scene before him deeply pained his eyes. "Little female, what are you doing?" Has his affection already made the female disgusted enough to want to end herself? Throbbing, she hurriedly covered the wound, voice weak. "You've misunderstood. I just accidentally broke a glass and cut myself." Zhaoxing's anxious heart settled mostly. "Wait for me, I'll get the first aid kit right away." Wait for Li Qiao to come out of the bathroom. Zhongsheng also quickly returned carrying the medical kit. He opened the medical kit and half knelt by the bed. A flurry of frantic activity. But he still couldn't stop the bleeding no matter what. "I'll handle it myself. You should leave quickly. In case your brother comes. Don't realize that your emotions are too intense." Zhongsheng immediately lowered his head. "I meant, don't tell my brother. I didn't plan on telling him. It's just that seeing the little female so resistant." Zhongsheng lowered his eyelashes. His expression was dejected. But he still quickly sprayed the medicine a few times onto the gruesome wound. The continuously flowing blood gradually stopped. "See, the bleeding has stopped." He showed a relieved smile, but his reddened eyes betrayed him. "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have been so impulsive." Beastmen are always straightforward and passionate. If they like someone, they show their masculine strength to her, to seek the right to become mates. He pressed his lips together. Mustering up his courage, he said, "But I still want to say, I want to be your partner." Li Qiao looked at Zhaoxing, who was half kneeling before her, with his innocent and sincere expression. Zhaoxing's light, apologetic words made Zhaoxing's mood instantly hit rock bottom. "It's okay, I understand. Females don't like mermen." Beast Li Qiao grabbed the young man who was about to reach the door. "You just said females don't like mermen. Why?" The stopped young man was somewhat surprised. He quickly turned back, his eyes sparkling brightly. But it only lasted for a moment. Because mermaids need deep sea water support to maintain human form. It's also difficult for females to endure doing primitive things with mermaids. But the ocean has been polluted. Now only I remain. I know you hate me. I'll appear less in front of you from now on. Li Zhao felt he was truly inhuman. No need to harbor hatred because of elders and involve innocent children. Sorry, Zhongsheng. I made you misunderstand. I didn't say I hate mermaids. Before, I only heard about mermaids in fairy tales and was curious about mermaids' lives in the ocean. The female's words lit up Zhongsheng's eyes. I will definitely take Ruin to the deep sea. Then can we still be friends? Li Zhao gently nodded. Zhaoxing felt extremely elated in his heart. As long as he could still stay by her side. He took out an object the size of a thumb, shaped like a miniature bamboo. This is a flute meticulously carved from mermaid bone. As long as you blow it, I will appear. Then he materialized a necklace, threaded the bone flute through it, and personally put it around the little female's neck. This is the mermaid tribe's bone given to their one and only beloved in this lifetime. I only want to give it to Li Qiao. Even if it's not accepted. What are you doing? Wenhan's tall figure suddenly appeared at the doorway. He gazed with an icy expression at the two, who were extremely close. Zhaoxing's expression was indifferent. He walked towards the door. He said to Li Qiao, "See you tomorrow then." The room plunged into complete darkness. Li Qiao, lying on the bed. Flashes of memories concerning Zhaoxing passed through her mind. Zhaoxing lying by the bed under the moonlight. His blue fishtail was dazzlingly beautiful, like a gemstone, emitting a faint halo. He had told her, for a mermaid to hold his tail is the most passionate response of love towards him. She saw her own hand caressing the blue fishtail. The sensation was real and cool. Gradually, she could no longer fight off the drowsiness and fell asleep. What Li Qiao did not notice was the wrist that caressed the mermaid was tied with a gauze knot, exactly matching the fine sound of tonight's bell. Zhaoxing, what were you doing entering the female's bedroom? Zhaoxing blocked the doorway, without sparing Wenhan a single glance. His attitude, as if drawing a clear line between them, made Wenhan's inner rage surge through his entire body. He forced himself to stay calm. Have I been too indulgent with you, little brother? Is that why you won't listen to me? The female's blood can cure the male's loss of control. We don't need to take the risk of forming a partnership with a female. Besides, your brothers all despise females, Zhaoxing. The younger brother's pupils dilated. He suddenly grabbed Wenhan's wrist, with hard-to-express determination. The ocean is polluted. Now I am the only mermaid left. Brother, you all hate females. But must I be like you? I don't want the mermaid race to be wiped out. Zhaoxing didn't actually care about the race being wiped out. He could only choose to use this despicable excuse. A flicker of hesitation passed through Wenhan's golden pupils. He finally let out a sigh. If you become a rogue beast, I will not let this go. Zhaoxing has clearly drunk the female's bewitching potion. He won't wake up until the very last moment. He wouldn't let his younger brother fall into the female's trap. The next day, Li Qiao woke up from the heat. As soon as he opened his eyes, he met a pair of silver eyes. The man suddenly kissed her lips. She could only see Lionel's deep pupils and his long, dense silver eyelashes. This is your punishment. Are you insane? Li Qiao tried to break free, but it was all in vain. Forced to endure the aggressive male's ferocity. Brother, what are you doing? A voice suddenly appeared, causing Lionel to snap out of it as if waking from a dream. Bei Zheng had taken off last night's bare pajamas, now standing at the door in a dark punk outfit. His lifeless dark purple pupils suddenly gained a trace of sickly emotion. Lionel knew his younger brother was having another episode. He put down the little female, comforting Bei Zheng as he led him outside. The little female is sick. Big brother is just treating her illness. Lionel lied without changing his expression. Bei Zheng raised his doll high. I also want to treat the female. Li Qiao, sitting on the bed, understood what Bei Zheng intended to do. She frantically wiped her mouth. "Lioner, just you wait. I'm going to report you to the Femilliance for assault." The female threw off the blanket and quickly ran towards the exit, but was easily caught by Lioner. "If you dare go, I'll expose the secret of your blood. Then every out-of-control male in the Empire will need your blood to reduce their loss of control out-of-control meter. Let me remind you, the Empire's males. Number 1,000,000. Her face instantly turned deathly pale. Once the value of her blood is leaked, all the males on Blue Star will be waiting for her blood to eliminate their loss of control values. At that time, there will be no child protection law. What awaits her is being treated as a container, continuously having her blood drawn. I advise you to behave and obey." Lioner gently touched her face, then dragged the afflicted Bai Zheng away. Li Qiao weakly sat on the ground. How can the system find the colored glaze clue? Just the Bai family alone. But what exactly is colored glaze? After a moment, Bai Zheng, who had been taken away by Lioner, suddenly turned back, reaching out his hand to Li Qiao. "Let's go." Li Qiao looked up, her complexion somewhat pale. "The roses I planted have bloomed. I want to give you a few." Li Qiao looked at his pale palm, but did not give him her hand. She wasn't in the mood to go. Bai Zheng repeated, "Let's go." "No." Zhaoxing rushed in, panting, grabbing Bai Zheng, who was sitting beside Li Qiao, pushing him to the ground. "You can't go with him. He is a monster. Bai Zheng is not as weak as he appears on the surface. He will kill you." After saying this, Zhaoxing suddenly rushed in front of Bai Zheng, grabbed his collar, and punched him hard. Bai Zheng did not resist at all. He was knocked to the ground by Zhaoxing, making a loud thud. Li Qiao's pupils contracted in shock. She rushed over and grabbed Zhaoxing's arm. "Stop fighting, Zhaoxing." Bai Zheng immediately picked up his own doll, then hid in the corner, trembling and crying. "What's wrong with you, Zhaoxing? Aren't we best friends?" Bai Zheng's vulnerable, hurt appearance brought back a bit of Zhaoxing's rationality. Zhaoxing stared blankly at his own violently trembling hands. Only when they were enveloped by the little female's warm hands did the trembling stop. Li Qiao, very nervous, watched Zhaoxing, who seemed somewhat unwell. "Sorry, I just lost control of my emotions a bit." Zhaoxing stepped forward and reached out his hand to him. Bai Zheng hesitated for a moment, but still took Zhaoxing's outstretched hand. The moment he stood up, a sinister glint flashed through Bai Zheng's downcast eyes. "Then let's go see the roses together." He forced himself to show a smile, probably because he hadn't smiled in a long time. The muscles at the corners of his mouth were somewhat stiff. "Okay, just wait a moment. We'll be right there." When his gaze swept over the bruises on his face, a bit more guilt appeared in Zhaoxing's eyes. Li Qiao looked at the agreeing Zhaoxing, sighed, and got up to change clothes. "It's good to go out for a walk. Maybe there will be clues." The boundless sea of roses was breathtakingly beautiful. Zhaoxing followed behind Li Qiao, vigilantly scanning the surroundings. Bai Zheng walked at the very front, his thin lips pressed tightly together. That guy at the back is really troublesome. Time passed, bit by bit. Bai Zheng still showed no sign of stopping. The originally sunlit sky suddenly turned gloomy and gray. The surroundings grew increasingly silent, so quiet they could only hear their own panting and footsteps. Li Qiao lowered her slightly sore and tired legs. "Bai Zheng, aren't we there yet?" "We're almost there." Bai Zheng didn't turn his head. Li Qiao let out a breath. She was just about to lift her foot and continue following, when she suddenly felt something was missing. Zhaoxing is gone. Bai Zheng, who had originally walked ahead, suddenly appeared behind her. "Stop shouting. He might have gotten lost by accident. There's only this one path. The path is narrow, and he was following closely. Plus, with his height, you could see him from far away. How could he possibly get lost?" Li Qiao clearly didn't believe it. Are you that worried about that guy? Bei Zheng suddenly moved closer. His face became distorted. Great. Finally, no one will disturb the two of us. A chill ran down Li Qiao's spine for no reason. She slapped away Bei Zheng's pale hand and desperately ran back the way they came. But the roses ahead suddenly turned into 3-meter-tall giants, firmly blocking the path. Bei Zheng, what have you done to Zhaoxing? Bei Zheng stepped closer to the young female. Why do you want to run? I am very angry. And don't mention him. With a wave of his hand, roses surged up from the ground, forming a large net that firmly trapped Li Qiao. How about we do something interesting instead? A pair of grayish-purple butterfly wings sprouted from Bei Zheng's back. He moved his furry head close to the young female. Being petted on the head felt so comforting. He really wanted her to touch his head again. The girl struggled weakly. Bei Zheng's light purple pupils gradually turned into a bloodthirsty red. In his mind, the unique expression she had when Bei Lion forced a kiss on her resurfaced. The roses wrapped tightly around the two of them, from bottom to top. He stiffly mimicked Bei Lion's manner, kissing the young female. Her struggles cast a shadow over his eyes. He morbidly placed his hands around her neck and didn't stop until he had choked her unconscious. Only then, smiling with satisfaction. Zhaoxing had been following the young female all along. His light blue eyes seemed veiled in mist. Gradually, he halted mechanically, as if summoned by something. Bei Zheng had actually used illusion magic on him. Zhaoxing stretched out his slender fingers. He forcefully crushed the butterfly on his shoulder. His pupils trembled. He kicked the person lying on top of the little female fiercely and sent them flying out. After confirming that the little female had no wounds on her body, Zhaoxing finally felt relieved. He pounced onto Bei Zheng's back, viciously tearing his wings to pieces. I'm going to kill you. Bei Zheng's eyes turned crimson. The intense pain made him claw blood-stained marks on the ground with his nails. He bared his fangs and bit hard into Zhaoxing's thigh. A series of sonic booms echoed in the sky. Even the century vase in Wenhen's hand was shattered to pieces. A trace of displeasure flashed in his eyes. But when he detected the flowing psychic energy in the air, his golden pupils instantly transformed into dangerous vertical slits. Large patches of roses were destroyed. Deep within the sea of flowers lay 3 unconscious bodies. It has been detected that another player has obtained the item, Colored Glaze. The remaining players must survive safely for 3 months to return to the real world. There are other players in this game. Regarding Li Qiao's question, the system still did not respond. It disappeared after delivering the message. Li Qiao sat up and saw Lioner and Wenhen holding Jiu Zhaoxing in their arms respectively. Bei Lianu's usually aloof expression appeared gloomy. The most fragile and precious part of a butterfly is its wings. Zhaoxing clearly knew this. He still did this to the paper. Wenhen's emotions were even more intense than Bei Lion's. Bei Zheng almost drained Zhang's blood completely. He wants to kill Zhongsheng. The two are fighting each other. Close brothers shouldn't blame each other. Zhongsheng's condition is worse than paper. He is so weak he can't even maintain a human form. The most dangerous part is the tail fin. It looks like a wound bitten by a beast. This is Li Qiao's first time seeing Zhongsheng's tail, but he never expected it to be in this state. How did Zhongsheng end up like this? I was about to ask you the same thing. What happened? Why did the two of them start fighting? Wenhen glared fiercely at the petite female sitting on the ground, a somewhat thin young woman. His eyes were icy, cold to the extreme. Bei Lion also shifted his gaze over, as if waiting for her answer as well. When Li Qiao lost consciousness, she had been choked unconscious by Bei Zheng. After that, she knew nothing of what happened. I don't know either. Wenhen hadn't intended to find out anything from her in the first place. He transformed into his beast form and left with Zhaoxing. The massive white snake brushed right past Li Qiao. The silver wolf also left with Bai Zheng. Everyone forgot there was still a young female left behind. Just as the white snake passed by her, she clearly saw Zhaoxing lying on the white snake's back. His lips formed dangerous words. "Leave this place, don't come back." Although he was weak and on the verge of death, his blue, amber eyes still closely followed her. Among all these people, the only one she could trust was Bai Zhaoxing. Li Qiao's eyes reddened. Her slightly chafed and reddened right hand clutched the cold white bone flute tightly. Someone had already obtained the prop-colored glaze and submitted it to the system. She just needed to survive. Until 3 months later, Li Qiao kept walking towards where there were buildings, till she reached the crowd and fainted. Such a major incident of a female being injured. How come no one called an ambulance? At that moment, a tall man involved in research and strategy strode over. "Li Qiao, wake up." As if sensing the call, the female let out a hoarse sound. Haikuan-si hurriedly picked up the female, quickly boarded the ambulance. Initial assessment. The female fainted due to overexertion. The wounds on her hands, feet, and lower legs are determined to be caused by scratches. All are superficial injuries. There are 2 more serious injuries. One is the bruise on the neck caused by external force. Although the strangulation marks are visible, they are not fatal. The other is the cut wound on the left wrist. It had been bandaged to stop the bleeding before. It is presumed to be self-inflicted. His delicately pierced eyebrows furrowed tightly. "Are you saying the female cut herself?" By this time, Li Qiao had already regained consciousness. Her complexion was rosy, her skin smooth and delicate, completely different from her previously bruised and battered appearance. She was even able to get out of bed and walk. "It seems she has recovered well." Wu Dao Zihuo walked in, writing in the medical record. Seeing the president of the female alliance, Li Qiao excitedly parted her red lips. She was just about to reveal the matter of the Bai family harming the females, but she forcibly stopped herself. She had escaped. What if Bai Lion suddenly went crazy and revealed the secret? Would she even survive then? Haikuan-si asked. "How did you end up alone in the garden? Did those males just leave you unsupervised like that? Not even coming to look for you when you got lost?" Li Qiao looked at the female alliance president who cared for her, but her heart was filled with fear. "We weren't in a large group together. I was the one who wandered off and got separated." The female's voice was soft and delicate. There was even a hint of self-reproach. Haikuan-si couldn't bear to ask any further, afraid that raising his voice even slightly would startle the young girl. "But your injury was caused by my own carelessness." Hearing this, a soft, gentle smile appeared at the corner of Wu Dao Zihuo's lips. "This is the first time I've heard that such an obvious mark left by someone else was caused by oneself." Only then did Li Qiao notice that there was another person in the room. When she got a clear look at his appearance, she couldn't help but feel a shock in her heart. The familiar white coat and purple hair with purple eyes strongly resembled a combination of Bai Zheng from the Wenhan family. "I am your personal doctor, Wu Dao Zihuo." Haikuan-si didn't quite understand why the girl would ask that, but he still answered for her. He was referring to the previously destroyed human civilization. Does Li Qiao know about it too? What Haikuan-si said was definitely a massive bombshell of information. But with Wu Dao Zihuo suddenly approaching, Li Qiao could no longer bring herself to ask further. "Did I hit the mark? Can't find an excuse to cover it up." "So you're changing the subject?" Wu Dao Zihuo stood by the bed, looking down at her. Li Qiao shrank back, instinctively grabbing Haikuan-si's hand. She knew that Wu Dao Zihuo was suspicious about the injury on her neck. Haikuan-si suddenly understood in his heart. He grasped the female slightly cool hand in return. His gaze towards Wu Dao Zihuo also held a bit more displeasure. "Zihuo, you must treat the female like a deity. Don't startle her. After Haikuan-si finished speaking, he tightened his grip on the female's soft, delicate hand. His gaze remained fixed on the female's cheek. The corners of his mouth were practically curled up to his ears. Yet he didn't even notice. Wu Dao Zihuo gave the female a gentle smile. He obediently straightened up. Just now, from such a close distance, Li Qiao saw clearly. Wu Dao Zihuo's eyes had a soul. They weren't empty at all. This person definitely wasn't Bai Zheng, but his scent was very familiar. It seemed like she had smelled it somewhere before. She tightened her palm. It was the male losing control. You've accidentally hurt me. The two Veer men in the ward were momentarily stunned. This was the first time they had heard of a femme woman empathizing with the pain of a Veer man's loss of control, who was willing to understand them, rather than show undisguised disgust, treating a Veer man's loss of control as a spectacle to watch. Wu Dao Zihuo suddenly understood. So that's how it is. But Miss Li Qiao, there's no need for you to be so nervous. If a Veerman loses control and accidentally injures a femme woman, although there is punishment, the Lotus Femme leader won't pursue it if she doesn't mind. Isn't that right, Lotus Femme leader? Haikuan-si reluctantly grunted in agreement. Judging by the attitude the young femme woman displayed, she was clearly protecting the Veer men of the Bai family, not wanting them to be punished. Miss Li Qiao has just woken up. Let me give you another checkup. To avoid any unnecessary complications, Wu Dao Zihuo wore a professional smile on his lips, maintaining an impartial and businesslike attitude. Please, Lotus Femme, Captain, step out and wait for a moment. Haikuan-si reluctantly let go of the femme woman's small hand. He hesitated several times, wanting to speak, but stopping himself. In the end, he stepped out. Wu Dao Zihuo took out his stethoscope and put it in his ears. Prone to overthinking, sulking, mild insomnia, deficiency of qi and blood. These symptoms Li Qiao indeed had. After going to the Bai family, the Veer men's disdainful attitude toward femme women had truly made her feel depressed. Wu Dao Zihuo took out a syringe, drew an injection from among the bottles and jars, shaking it with this posture. It directly shocked Li Qiao into sitting up. Doctor, what are you trying to do? Wu Dao Zihuo's voice was calm. An injection that works immediately. When Bai Lianuo arrived, what he saw was Haikuan-si sitting outside the ward, his whole body shrouded in a gloomy, resentful aura. Where is the little female? He looked at the ward behind Haikuan-si. His breathing was somewhat unsteady. Clearly, he had rushed here anxiously. Bai Lianuo, is this how you protect a rare female? Haikuan-si stood up. A wave of resentment finally found an outlet. The news about Li Qiao being a female known across Blue Star has already been out for a full 10 minutes. The Bai family only sent you alone. Obviously, you don't care much about the female either. How exactly did the strangulation marks on the female's neck happen? Bai Lion's voice was cold and deep, the disgust on his face completely unconcealed. Get out of the way. He didn't come here to be questioned by Haikuan-si. In that photo, the female's bruised and injured appearance had already made his worry peak. Bai Lion shoved Haikuan-si aside, barged directly in. The scene before him made his pupils contract sharply. What are you doing? Haikuan-si followed behind Bai Lion. Entering, he naturally also saw the little female. In pink clothes, he stood there as if struck by lightning. A flush of red sudden lyros on the pretty face. It quickly spread to the base of his ears. Wu Dao Zihuo automatically ignored the person who arrived, but was suddenly knocked to the ground by a silver-haired man who appeared in front of him. With a single punch, a cold snort escaped from Bai Lianu's lips. You dared to stay alone with another person's future master? Here. Are you even fit to be a doctor? Haikuan-si strode forward. naturally picked up the young female and placed her on the hospital bed, moving away from the one-sided beating. He was only responsible for the safety of the female. Wu Dao Zihuo wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. Out of all the medical disputes I've encountered, your reason is the most absurd I've ever heard. The usually aloof and detached Bai Lianuo was visibly losing his composure, using the physical exam as an excuse to grope the female. So this is what you call a physical examination? Seeing that he still wanted to make a move, Li Qiao suppressed her unease and cautiously said, Bai Lianuo, Dr. Wu Dao isn't that kind of person. This is completely normal. Physical examination. The female's defense made Bai Lian's face grow even darker. Her view was blocked, so she naturally didn't even realize she was exposed, and foolishly believed it was just a genuine checkup. How stupid. Come home with me. Bai Lianu's words made Li Qiao's anxious heart beat even more violently. If she went back, she would be drained of blood. If she didn't go back, she would face the risk of being dissected. She shifted her body and protested in a low voice. I don't want to go back. The usually obedient female had refused him for the first time. Bai Lianu's expression softened unusually. If you're still angry about what happened earlier, I apologize to you. I was just too worried about your safety. But if I go back, you won't be there anymore. Li Qiao got lost. It's normal that she couldn't find her way back. You should be glad she managed to come out alive. Bai Lianuo frowned. That place has a view of the castle. But the little female clearly intentionally headed in another direction. Knowing he was in the wrong, he did not argue back. Letting the female get injured is already your failure. The female naturally has the right to refuse. If you can't even protect one female, then step aside early. A layer of coldness veiled Bai Lianu's eyes. I had no idea that the person in charge of the female association, who is only responsible for the safety of the female, would actually hold someone else's future mate during work. This matter. Even a fool could see that the always impartial president of the female association, in his attitude towards this female, was clearly courting her. Bai Lianuo stubbornly continued to stare at the young female. Let's go, Li Qiao. We're going home. Li Qiao sat on the hospital bed with a scrunched up little face. Each of her arms was gripped by a handsome male, being tugged back and forth. Haiku and Si, afraid of hurting her, released his hand. The female should recover from her injuries in the hospital before returning. I will report to the king immediately. The Bai family has failed in their duty to protect the female. After he finished speaking, he raised his hand, wanting to rub the female's head, but didn't know in what manner or under what identity to do so. He could only stiffly withdraw his hand. As soon as Haiku and Si left, Bai Lianuo revealed his true nature. He gritted his teeth and silently leaned close to the female's ear. You've got some nerve. Daring to run away. Aren't you afraid I'll expose the secret of your blood to the world? If there's a next time, you can wait to be devoured by everyone. Li Qiao's little face instantly turned deathly pale. Her eyes filled completely with fear. Due to the intense emotions, a sharp pain twisted in her stomach, and she actually vomited a mouthful of blood. Bai Lianuo, who was originally pretending to be sinister, was struck by the scene before him. His face stiffened. He was stunned until the two male doctors who arrived spoke up. The female's stomach has recovered. Go buy her some stomach-nourishing kanji. She'll be fully recovered in about 10 days to 2 weeks. Only then did Bai Lianuo nod. He looked at the female in the nutrient pod, clenched his fingers tightly, then turned and left. He had only meant to scare her, to make her behave. He never truly intended to break her legs, or reveal the secret of her blood to the public. Not long after Bai Lianuo left, a tall, slender figure in white, hurriedly entered the female's hospital room. Bai Ji has lost control. Come back with me, quickly. Even if she forgot the entire world, Li Qiao could never forget this icy, menacing voice. Wenhen. Before she could react, her body was swept up into the arms of the newcomer. They left the room at extreme speed. Bai Lianwo had just returned. When he heard the news of Ji's loss of control, what happened? Wasn't Ji's out of control value already reduced to 0? How could he suddenly lose control? Bai Wenhen's gaze was cold. The female's blood cannot completely eliminate the out of control value. It only makes males more and more addicted to her blood, making the torment even worse than during loss of control. And the only antidote is to form a bond. Li Qiao's eyes widened instantly. She looked anxious. Wenhen, you're not planning to take me back to bond with Ji, are you? Wenhen snorted coldly. You are the child assigned to us by the Empire. Bonding with us is the most natural thing. Li Qiao's mind was in chaos. Those who have drunk her blood include Ji Lian, Feng Han, and Yu Qi. Doesn't that mean she belongs solely to Wu Dao? Inside the Violet Bracelet's restroom, the man in front of the mirror took off his mask, revealing a perfect and exquisite lower face. He washed all the powder off his face, fiddled with the back of his head for a while. Then, pale purple hair cascaded down. The upper part of the purple hair under the running water gradually returned to its original pale purple. After drying, it became a fluffy, curly, long wolf-cut style. Then he took off his white coat, revealing a body with smooth, defined lines. The tattered, incomplete wings behind him trembled slightly. He took out a pile of cosmetics and carefully applied them to his face, transforming into a pale-lipped, dark, shadowy, and sickly appearance under his eyes. Finally, he removed his colored contacts, revealing the true misty purple of his pupils. Bai Zheng watched on the surveillance wall, the female being carried by his good brothers, hurriedly entering the spaceship. A malicious smile curled at the corner of his mouth. Li Qiao, we'll meet again very soon.